Now that the herbs in my AeroGarden are growing really well, it's time to prune them. So today, I'm going to show you how to prune each of the different herbs in your AeroGarden. Stick around. This is In the Garden. Thanks for joining me. Whether you're a new viewer or a returning subscriber, I'm glad you're here. This is In the Garden, where I share tips and tools to help new gardeners be successful in backyard vegetable gardening. Today, we're inside and we're gonna prune the herbs in the AeroGarden. Pruning the herbs is really important, and it's basically just harvesting. But pruning will encourage the plants to grow stronger, it'll grow more, and it'll grow healthier. So pruning is really important, and that's how you get the herbs to use in your recipes. Before we get started, make sure you hit that like button so I know you're enjoying the videos, and if you're new here, consider subscribing so you can get all my latest content. Pruning the herbs is really easy, but there's a technique you're going to want to use on each of the plants. I'm going to show you how to do it on each one, and it's really simple. All you're going to need is a pair of scissors or snips. Anything that you can use just to cut the herbs and prune them down. For the basil, both types of basil, the mint and the dill, you're going to use the same technique. On each of those kinds of herbs, you're going to want to look from the top of the stem down to where you can find the next set of leaves. At that point is where you're going to want to prune it. And you're just going to cut the center stem and remove everything above that. You want to make sure that for any of these herbs that you're not pruning more than 30% of the plant at one time. Pruning more than that can cause the plant to get stressed out, and it can actually cause damage to the plant. So you're only going to prune 30% or less of each plant at each pruning. You can prune each of the stems that's sticking out from the main stem so that you can get harvest from each of those, and that'll encourage it to branch out and keep growing. Pruning keeps it from growing straight up, and it will encourage the plant to grow outward as well. You can see that my dill is really tall, and that's because I didn't start pruning it early enough. So instead of it branching out and getting into a wider plant, it just kept growing straight up, and it got all the way to where it's hitting the light. Pruning your plants early is actually really good. You're going to start pruning off just little bits when they're small, and as they continue to grow, you're going to be able to prune more and more and more. The same thing for the mint. You're going to start right at the top, and you're just going to go down until you can see the next set of leaves, and you're going to trim the stem right there. You can prune all your herbs at one time and set them all to dry, or you can actually just prune as you're using them, as long as you're using them fast enough to keep them from overgrowing. You don't want to let them go too long without pruning. So if you're not using them fresh right into your recipes often enough, make sure you set some time to go through and prune it and let them all dry out, and then you could use those whenever you're ready for them. On the dill, because I let it get so tall, it's kind of hard to prune now. If I was to cut off all this leafy part, the plant's going to stop growing. If there's no leaves on the stems of the dill, it won't grow any more leaves. So you need to be careful that you don't cut all those off. If there's some on the outside that you can cut out to make room for new growth, that's good. So cut those all the way down at the base of the plant. As you can see inside, there's actually new leaves growing from the inside of the dill. That's how dill starts new shoots. They'll grow right from the center and grow up. So if your plant ends up like mine, where it's a little too tall and it's not growing well and it's hard to prune anymore, it's okay to start pruning off these outside leaves to make room for the ones in the center. But again, you're going to want to make sure that you don't cut off more than 30% of the plant at one time. Cut off a few of them and then let it set for a few days or a week, and then cut off some more. The time is a little bit different. The time you can just kind of snip off pieces, but you're just not going to want to remove more than 30% of the plant at one time. You can cut off stems however you like and just use those or let them dry. The process for pruning the parsley is going to be the same as for the basil and the dill and the mint. I can't show you because my parsley never grew well enough to actually be able to start pruning it yet. It's still really small compared to the other plants. So I can't show you how to prune that, but it's going to be the same process as on the mint and on the basil and dill. As you can see, that was really easy to prune the herbs, and we did it in just a couple of minutes. And don't be afraid to prune your herbs. It's not really something that you can mess up, and as long as you're only taking about 30% of the plant or less, you're really not going to damage the plant. And even if you did, it's just an herb and you can replant it again if you need to, but that's really unlikely that you're going to cause enough damage to the plant to actually cause it to die. So don't be afraid to prune your herbs to get all this tasty herbs that you could use either to dry or to put in a recipe. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. And if you want to get more content like this, make sure you subscribe so you can get all my latest videos. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.